Issei was in the middle of one of Drake's training meditations when his doorbell rang. He soon heard his dad call him downstairs, saying there was someone here to see him. As Issei came downstairs, he was greeted with the sight of Rias's knight at his door. "Evening, Issei. I came to ask your assistance in a problem our club is facing," Kiba proclaimed. Issei knew he was being vague to keep from saying too much in front of his parents. "Okay, let's head out." The two said goodbye to the Hudus and made their way to the old school building. Along the way, Kiba explained the situation. Lady Rias has been contacted by her brother about reports of rogue priests conducting experiments in the area. Issei was surprised by the aggressive look on his face. Normally, Yuto is the calm gentleman type. This was his first time seeing Kiba act this way. "What kind of experiments are they doing? Do we know?" Issei asked. "Best let Master Rias explain," Kiba said as he led them both into the old Cow Academy building and down the halls until they reached the king's office. The boys arrived in the office of Rias to find the whole team there. Rias sat at her desk with Akino standing attentively to her right. Asia and Kaneko sat on the couch in front of the coffee table. It wasn't that long since Issei was last here. Rias and Asia convinced Issei to stop by now and then. They even convinced him to help with some of their demon work, like making pacts and fulfilling contracts with their customers. Doing so over the past week did make Issei loosen his opinion on the group a bit. Naturally, he has been on guard after finding out they were demons, but they truly seemed to be as they proclaimed. They didn't actively hurt people. They did lie or cheat their customers and were upfront with the rules and prices of the deals they made. From what he could tell, the whole master-servant relationship also wasn't quite what Issei thought it was based on his observations. The servants showed genuine respect to Rias, and she treated them like a boss who truly values her employees at times, and at others, she was more like a big sister. Rias saw the boys walk in and stood to greet them. "Thank you for coming on such short notice, Issei. And thank you for escorting him here, Yuto." Rias smiled at Kiba. "My pleasure, President." Kiba bowed to his master. Rias gestured for them to take a seat on the opposite couch to the one Kaneko and Asia were seated on as she herself took her seat. "I've requested your assistance, Issei, because we have an urgent request from the Demon Council," Rias said seriously, as she checked a file on her desk labeled with the Gremory seal on its front. "We have received reports of several priests from the Vatican have gone rogue and have stolen several artifacts of some kind. They are suspected to have been spotted near Ku, likely to try and find a place to conduct experiments on these artifacts and without disturbance." Issei furrowed his brow in confusion. Wouldn't attacking priests be an open invitation to upsetting the angels? Akino was the one to answer his question. "Just like how we have devils that go astray, the church can sometimes have priests that do the same. When that happens, they tend to take care of them. However, this time around, we received a direct request from heaven to help deal with this matter." Rias took up from there. "That's why we would like to ask for your help in this matter. With you not having yet accepted my offer to join my peerage, you are still human and won't have a weakness to their weapons of light like we do." At that statement, he saw a flicker of sad frustration cross her face at the mention of him not accepting her offer yet, but it disappeared as fast as it showed up. Issei couldn't help but think her pouty face was kinda cute. "I see," Issei scratched at his chin, trying not to think about how cute Rias just was. "What's the plan then?" Rias smiled at his eagerness to help. They explained more thoroughly the situation and what it means to be considered a stray priest. They split the city into sections, with each taking an area to scout for the priest's base of operations. Issei took the northeast corner of the city. He recalled the location the Fallen used as their base was an old abandoned church that way, and it couldn't hurt to check it out again. Issei pulled up the hood on his hoodie to block the chill of the night air, now that summer was getting closer to its end. He entered the old church with caution. It was quiet. Nothing but the sounds of the old wooden floorboards squeaking underfoot. As Issei stopped in the center of the room, he took in all the damage from his fight with the Fallen. Thanks to magic to keep any unsuspecting humans from finding out what took place, all the blood and feathers were cleaned up. The hole where he punched that lolly girl was still there, as well as the one in the roof from his roar. Drake suddenly spoke in Issei's mind as his boosted gear came out and began to glow. "We are not alone," said the dragon. On both sides of Issei, two cloaked figures in white robes came out of the shadows. The one to his right spoke. "I knew if we waited long enough, one of them would show themselves soon enough." The one to Issei's left responded to the first. "You were so right, girl. Now, foul creature, where are they?" the second demanded. Issei was sure he recognized the second girl's voice from somewhere. "What are you talking about?" He stammered, still trying to recognize the voice. As he was trying to figure out, the two cloaked figures drew blades made of light much like Rias warned him about and charged him. Issei barely had enough time to dodge. One brought down her blade of light over Issei's head. Issei brought up his gear and blocked the blow with his gauntlet. The other made for a horizontal swing at his lower back. Issei backflipped over the blade, secretly thanking Drake for all the combat lessons. As Issei backflipped, he landed on his hands, ignited his feet in dragon fire, and twisted his body and arms, causing his legs to spin, landing in the stomachs of both girls while he shouted, "Fire Dragon Talon!" The two was sent flying back and crashed into the old pews. Issei jumped back on his feet, bracing himself for another attack. "You ladies normally great strangers with swords? Or is that special just for me?" Issei quipped. "And what did you mean by one of them? Are you those rogue priests causing trouble?" "How do you know of the rogue ones?" the one from the right said from the ground as she extracted herself from the now broken pew. "Wait, that voice," the girl on the left said as she got up. "Issei, is that you?" She pulled down the hood of her cloak. From her hood revealed a strikingly beautiful face with soft brown hair, done up in 2 waist-long pigtails and violet eyes. Issei removed his hood as well, revealing his face. The moment he did, she tackled him in a surprisingly strong hug. "Ah!" was all he could say before she knocked them both to the floor. "Irina? Is that you?" Issei was having trouble processing what was going on. He just got attacked. Suddenly one is an old childhood friend and she got hot. And now her surprisingly firm body and soft parts was now pressed up against him as she straddled him on the ground. The other gear lowered her hood, revealing short-cropped blue hair with a green bang in the front. "I take it you know this creature, Irina?" Issei looked at her in irritation, having freed himself from Irina's grip. "I am not a creature. I'm human. Mostly," he said as he dusted himself off. The blue-hair girl did not look amused. "What do you mean, mostly?" She slowly reached for her sword again. Issei scratched the back of his neck as he explained. "Well, I'm technically like 3% dragon when I learned that magic is used against you. Sorry about that, by the way. You did attack first, and I thought you were stray priests." Irina looked like she just met Santa with the look in her eyes. "You're part dragon? How did that happen? Why are you looking for the stray priests? How do you even know about them?" She fired off question after question. It reminded him of their days as kids. Issei calmed her down and explained that the angels contacted the local demons in charge of the area to aid in looking for the priests, and he was contacted by the demons to help. They weren't too happy to hear that demons were helping, but accepted his answer. "Why are you helping demons?" the other girl asked fairly aggressively. Issei decided if Irina trusted this girl, he would too. Issei told them about his date with a fallen that tried to kill him, the mysterious masked man who helped him awaken his gear, the battle in the church they were standing in, and the relationship with the Gremory team after. Irina looked to Issei with worry. "I'm sorry, Issei. Maybe if I was still here, you wouldn't have had to deal with all that. If we didn't move," she trails off in thought, thinking of the trauma her friend went through. Before Issei could comfort her, the other girl loosened her stance and bowed to Issei. "I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Zenobia Quarta. You can just call me Zenobia. I apologize on behalf of the church that we failed in being aware of such activities in the area and did not offer aid until now. We have failed in our duty." Issei put his arm over Irina's shoulder in a side hug and looked to Zenobia. "You guys don't need to apologize for anything. No one could have seen it coming. Even the demons didn't detect them. They had aura suppression bands, and who would have guessed it had a sacred gear?" Issei turned to Irina and asked, "Speaking of surprises, what are you doing here? And what's with the light swords? I thought your family moved to Europe." Irina smiled wide as her eyes beamed with excitement. "Well, my dad is a member of the Council of Bishops in the Vatican. He is actually the head of the Japanese branch of Exorcist." She grinned proudly. "I went to Europe to train, and after a few years I finally passed the test, and now I'm a full-blown exorcist just like my dad." She posed dramatically to add affect to her decoration. Issei was surprised. He knew they were religious growing up, but not all this. Irina gestured to Zenobia. It's at that graduation that I met Zenobia. We have been assigned to investigate and find the location of the priests who abandoned their duty, investigate their operations, and bring them back to the Vatican for judgment, or, if necessary, execute the traitors. They discussed their progress, how Issei investigated the church for the events of the fallen, and how the demons have decided up the city to search. Issei and Irina exchanged numbers to swap info in case either find the strays. Irina winked at Issei. "Be sure to message me, Issei. We need to catch up." Issei smiled and assured her he would as they parted ways to continue the search. After a few hours of wandering the streets, Issei got a call from Rias. "Issei, this is Rias. We located the base of the Exorcist. They are at an old Catholic cathedral close to the red light district. I'll send you the address." Issei confirmed he was on his way as he hung up the spell communication and pulled out his phone and contacted Irina to let her know as well. When Issei arrived, he came to ask sight that surprised him. Kiba was in a fast-paced sword battle with a deranged-looking exorcist. What was odd about it was how savage Kiba was acting. Kiba was acting bloodthirsty. His normal cool composure was nowhere to be seen. Issei ran up to a shocked-looking Rias, who was standing by watching as her knight was ignoring her orders to calm down. "What's happening, Rias? Where are the others?" "They are on their way. You're the first to arrive. I was afraid of this happening considering Kiba's history," Rias said, holding her hand to her chest. "What history?" Issei asked, remembering Kiba once mentioned something about all Rias' servants owing her for one reason or another. Rias elaborated, Kiba was the last survivor of a rogue priest's experiment to try and force Kriyat a holy sword user. "I don't understand." Issei stared only for Dreg to speak from his gauntlet. "Holy swords can only be wielded by a select few. You are either born with the ability or in a few cases the sword chooses its wielder and magically makes its host body compatible itself." Issei pondered this as he watched Kiba zipping across the air, crashing blades and yelling curses, while the clearly crazy priest taunted him with his holy sword Excalibur. Issei was feeling a lot of emotions at once. He felt sorrow knowing Kiba went through something like that. He felt guilty for judging Rias just because of the titles of master and servant. Mostly, he felt anger of not seeing it sooner. Distracted by these emotions and thoughts, Issei didn't see that a warrior approached from behind. There was a female shout that caught him off guard. From the corner of his vision, he could see a blonde girl in blue and silver armor slashing a holy sword down in his direction. Equally, another blonde with red and silver armor bringing a demonic sword down on Rias. Issei could react in time normally for the blade coming at him, but worry over Rias slowed him down. Issei instinctively grabbed Rias, pulling her down as he embraced her to shield her from the attack with his body, trying to take both blows. Right before they hit, there was the sound of metal clashing and grunts from both of the blondes. Both Rias and Issei opened their eyes and saw Irina and Zenobia standing guard. The blondes were on the ground holding their stomachs. Irina called over her shoulder, not taking her eyes off the blonde as she held out her light sword in defense. "Are you all right, Issei?" Issei helped Rias to her feet, not noticing her blushing face or that she kept staring at him. "Yeah, we are all right, thanks to you." Issei's gauntlet let out a loud boost. He looked back to the blushing Rias. "Are you okay?" he asked. Rias nodded her head. Issei looked to their surroundings. Sure enough, it wasn't just the two girls in armor that showed up. On all sides, men and women holding swords of holy or demonic origin shrouded them. Stepping out of the church just as the Excalibur user kicked Kiba to the ground, stood an older man with round glasses and finer robes than the rest. "I see not just these demonic vermin have stopped by to cause a disturbance in my experiments, but the church sent rabble, and some gear user decided to join in," he said condescendingly. Kiba cursed from the ground. "Damn you, Valper Galilei." Galilei chuckled. "Oh, what's this? Weren't you one of those defective brats? I thought I disposed of all of you? No matter. I'll correct that problem now." He raised his hand, and the priests raised their swords ready to charge. As he said this, luckily, our reinforcements arrived. From overhead, dropped Kaneko, Aquino, and Asia. As well as more demons Issei hasn't met yet. There was a skinny girl with short jaw-length black hair and glasses, a taller and bustier girl with long black hair and glasses, as well as a guy with messy blonde hair. They all looked to be around his age. Kaneko landed hard in a superhero pose on top of a group of swordsmen. Akino crashed magical lightning on another group. Asia immediately ran up to Kiba and started healing him with her gear. "Sorry, we're late, President." Akino called over her shoulder. Rias smiled and told them they were just in time. The girl with short black hair came up to Rias after blasting some priests with magical water. "Rias, I'm glad you're okay." Rias smiled. "Thank you, Sona. We were in a bind there for a minute." Issei decided it was high time he joined the fray. For several minutes, the battle raged in the streets. Akino put up a ward hiding the battle from the public. Kaneko was able to hold off a group of demonic sword-wielding amateurs by herself because she was just too small and fast for them. Kiba cared about nothing but the sword Excalibur and Valper Galilei. He would try and attack him, but the speed power granted by Excalibur allowed the crazy priests wielding it to block him every time. The members of the church were going back and forth with the blonde girls that attacked Issei and Rias. Akino kept the rogues from rushing the groups by sending lightning into their ranks. The long black hair girl that Issei didn't know would call forth a mirror that acted as a shield, and when it broke it reflected damage back at the priests. The blonde boy oddly had a dragon gear as well. He called forth this black trimed and gold wrist piece that let out a glowing purple whip and entangled the priests, or whipped them out of his way. Rias was blasting away with a strange black and red energy. She even managed to destroy a demonic sword. She was kinda lacking in the close-range combat, but she was covered by Kaneko, who was fighting near her. Issei found himself confronted by a man named Arthur, and ironically, he had a holy sword he claimed was Caliburn. The blonde man with glasses boasted as he slashed at Issei. "I am the descendant of King Arthur himself. No demon will escape our noble justice." The arrogant boy shouts as he lifted his sword above his head, ready for another strike. Issei deflected the blow barley with his gauntlet. The blow caused his arm to go numb. "You claim to be descended from King Arthur, but Arthur was a great noble king of God, and you side yourself with men who the church itself blacklisted and are trying to arrest? Also, I'm not a demon." Arthur looked annoyed at the question. As he spat on the ground, "They are serving a greater purpose. Thanks to Valper Galilei, not only was Excalibur reforged, but the swords were enhanced beyond thought possible." At that, he stabbed Caliburn in the ground. Arthur then shouted, "Now unsheath!" The sword began to glow, and suddenly in its place was a glowing golden armor like he never seen before. The golden armor flew to Arthur and covered him in its glory. Soon the bespectacled man was adorned in magnificent golden armor from head to toe. The underlining of the armor plates was a blue chainmail. The helmet had no parts covering the face, but rather framed it with a ponytail of blue hair coming from the top. Oddly enough, it was not that the sword itself turned into the armor, but released it. Arthur redrew the blade from the ground and laughed. "Now you see why we worked with such vermin. Now I hold the ultimate power of the great holy sword, Caliburn." Issei was frozen in place from the sheer power coming from Arthur now. He had never felt anything like it before. Arthur pointed his sword at Issei like a man pointing his finger. "I never showed you throughout our battle what the true ability of Caliburn is," Arthur proclaimed. "Demon or not, you do work with the filth. I have had enough of this dance." At that, Arthur slashed at Issei with Caliburn. As the others looked in shock, Issei appeared to be cut in half, but not just cut in half, but the cut seemed to cut the very air itself. A tear in space opened up and like a black hole sucked Issei into its rip. Issei felt a loss of balance at first. Up became down became up. Then the pain. His stomach screamed in pain like fire erupted from his belly button and spread out like a wildfire in California. Then everything went dark.